The moment she untied her robe and let it fall to the ground, I knew my life was about to split into two parts. Before that second, and everything that came after it. My name is Michael. I am 27 years old, and I clean pools for people who live in houses so big they feel empty even from the outside. Most days, I move through gated neighborhoods like I do not exist. I park my truck, grab my gear, slip through side gates, fix the water, and leave without ever really being seen. That is how I like it. Quiet work. No drama. Just me, the water, and a job I can finish in under an hour. The Whitmore house was always my easiest stop. Every Wednesday at 7 in the morning, same routine. I would park by the curb, walk through the side gate, and step into a backyard that looked perfect in a way that did not feel real. The pool was clean, shaped like a soft curve, with stone around it that never seemed to get dirty. Tall hedges blocked the outside world. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful. For 6 months, nothing about that place stuck in my mind. The owner, Clara Whitmore, was polite but distant. Sometimes I would see her through the glass doors while I worked. She would give a small wave. I would nod. That was it. No conversations, no problems. Just another house on my route. Until one Wednesday morning, when something changed. I had just started brushing the pool walls when I heard the back door slide open. I looked over my shoulder, expecting the usual quick wave. Instead, she walked out barefoot, wearing a loose white robe. Her hair was down, falling around her shoulders in a way I had never seen before. She looked different, not like the perfect version I had seen through the glass. She looked real. "Morning," I said. "Morning," she answered softly. She stepped closer but did not rush. There was something slower about her movements, like she was thinking through every step. "Sorry to bother you," she said. "I have a question." "Sure," I said, straightening up. "What is it?" Quote. She asked about the water pressure in her bathroom, a normal question. Nothing strange about it. I explained it had nothing to do with the pool. She nodded, but she did not go back inside. Instead, she stayed there, watching me. At first, I tried to ignore it. People sometimes linger. But this felt different. She was not just standing there. She was paying attention. Every move I made, every check, every step. "You come every Wednesday?" she asked after a minute. "Yeah," I said. "Same time every week." "And if something goes wrong, you come other days?" "If they call, yeah. Emergency service costs more." She nodded slowly, like that answer mattered more than it should have. I finished up, told her everything looked good, and started heading for the gate. But I could feel her eyes on me the whole way out. When I glanced back, she was still standing there, looking at the pool like it was telling her something she was trying to understand. The next Wednesday, she came outside again. Same robe, same quiet presence. But this time, she sat down on one of the chairs and stayed there while I worked. Most people leave. They go inside, get on with their day. She did not. "Do you like this work?" she asked. "It is fine," I said. "Pays the bills." That is not what I asked. I paused and looked at her. "Yeah," I said after a second. "I like it. It is simple. You can see when you have done a good job." She smiled a little, like that answer meant something to her. Then I asked what she did. "Nothing," she said. The way she said it was not a joke. It was quiet. Heavy. Before I could respond, I noticed movement by the fence. A neighbor was walking by with a small dog, slowing down just enough to look in. Clara noticed too. Her whole posture changed. She stood up quickly, her expression closing off like a door. "I should let you finish," she said. Then she went inside without another word. That should have been the end of it. But it was not. The next Wednesday, she was already outside when I arrived. Sitting on the edge of the pool, her feet in the water, her robe loose around her shoulders. "Morning," she said. "Morning," I answered, more careful this time. I started my routine, trying to focus on the work. But I could feel something building in the air. Something unspoken. After a few minutes, she spoke again. "My husband travels every Wednesday," she said. I did not respond. I just kept working. "So Wednesdays are mine," she continued. "The only day I get to exist without being watched." I stopped for a second, then kept going. "I am watching you right now," I said. She shook her head slightly. "No, you are working. There is a difference." I did not know what to say to that. Finally, I looked up at her. "What do you want from me, Mrs. Whitmore?" "Clara," she said. "Call me Clara." I nodded once. "Clara, what do you want from me?" She stood up slowly, and then everything changed. She reached down, untied the belt of her robe, and let it fall. Just like that. No hesitation. No rush. The robe slipped off her shoulders and landed on the stone beside her. She was completely exposed. For a second, I could not move. My brain told me to look away, to grab my stuff and leave, to pretend this was not happening. But my feet stayed planted. She did not rush toward me. She did not speak right away. She just walked to the edge of the pool, paused for a moment, and then looked straight at me. "Come fix this with me," she said softly. Then she stepped into the water. I stood there, frozen, my hands still resting on the test kit. She moved deeper into the pool, slow and calm, until the water reached her chest. Then she leaned back and floated, her hair spreading out across the surface. She closed her eyes, like she was alone, like I was not even there. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. Every instinct told me to leave. But I did not move. I did not step toward her either. I just stood there, staring at the water, at the ripples, at the light, shifting across the surface. Because deep down, I knew something. If I took even one step toward her, I would not be the same person anymore. And somehow, that mattered more than anything else in that moment. After a while, she moved back to the steps and stood up. Water ran down her shoulders as she climbed out. She picked up her robe, put it on, and tied it like nothing unusual had happened. "Thank you," she said quietly. My throat felt dry. For what? For not moving. Then she turned and went inside, leaving me alone by the pool, trying to understand what had just happened. And even now, I still do not know if I made the right choice that day. But I know one thing for sure. That was the moment everything started. I tried to forget that morning. I really did. After I left her house, I drove to my next job like nothing had happened. Same routine, same tools, same water tests. But my hands were moving on their own, while my mind stayed stuck in that backyard. I kept seeing the way she stood there, calm, like she had already made peace with whatever came next, and the way she said those words. Not desperate, not playful, just quiet. "Come fix this with me." That night I sat in my small apartment, staring at my phone. I almost texted my boss to take me off that route. I even typed it out. Then I deleted it, because the truth was, part of me wanted to go back. The next Wednesday, I sat in my truck outside her house for 5 full minutes before getting out. My hands were tight on the steering wheel, like I was about to do something I could not undo. I could have driven away. No one would have known. But I did not. I grabbed my tools and walked through the gate like I always did. Clara was sitting at the patio table, fully dressed this time. Jeans, a soft sweater, her hair pulled back. She looked normal, like any other woman in that neighborhood. "Morning," she said, like nothing had happened. "Morning," I answered. I started working right away. No small talk. No eye contact longer than a second. But the silence felt heavier than anything we had said before. After about 30 minutes, I finished up and picked up my bag. "Michael." I turned. "Same time next week?" she asked. There was something in her face I had never seen before. Not confidence, not calm, something closer to hope. "I don't know," I said honestly. Her expression tightened just a little. "Why?" "Because this isn't normal," I said. "And I don't know where it goes." She looked down at her hands, then back at me. "You're the only person in my life who doesn't want something from me," she said quietly. "That's not true," I said. "It is," she replied. "My husband wants a perfect version of me. My friends want to be seen with me. Everyone else wants access to this house, this life. You just want to clean the pool." I let out a slow breath. I do want something, I said, her shoulders tensed. Of course you do. I want this not to get complicated, I said. She studied my face for a second, then nodded slightly. It already is, she said. I did not argue with that. I'll think about it, I told her. That's all I'm asking, she said. I left, but the truth followed me all the way home. I was already thinking about next Wednesday. Over the next few days, I kept replaying everything, not just the moment in the pool, but everything leading up to it. The way she had asked about my schedule, the way she had stayed outside watching me, the way she had told me Wednesdays were hers. None of it was random. She had planned it. She had been watching, waiting, choosing the right moment, and that realization did something to me I could not explain. The next Wednesday I showed up. This time I did not hesitate. She was already outside again, sitting in the same spot like she had been waiting. You came, she said. Yeah, I answered. Why? Because I want to understand what this is, I said. She gave a small, sad smile. It's not about the pool, she said. I figured. I set my tools down but did not start working yet. So what is it about? She looked at the water for a long moment before answering. Loneliness, she said. The word landed heavier than anything else she had said before. Being in a house that looks perfect from the outside, she continued, and feeling like you don't exist inside it. I did not interrupt. I wanted to know if there was anyone in my world who could see me and not take something from me, she said. Anyone who could be close without crossing a line. I felt something tighten in my chest. You think I did that? I asked. I know you did, she said. Because when I was in that pool, completely exposed, you didn't move. You didn't step closer. You didn't run away either. You just stayed. I swallowed. What did you want me to do? Exactly that, she said. It hit me then. She had not been testing my control. She had been testing my respect. I picked up my test kit and started working, trying to steady my thoughts. While I worked, she talked. She told me about her marriage, how it started strong, full of plans and laughter, and slowly turned into quiet dinners and long trips. How her husband traveled almost every week and came home tired, distracted, already thinking about the next flight. How people saw her as lucky, but no one really asked if she was happy. I tried everything, she said. Hobbies, events, even pretending harder than before. Nothing changes the way it feels when you're alone in a house that big. I listened, but I did not know what to say, because I was just a guy who cleaned her pool. But somehow, I was also the only person she was telling the truth to. That became our routine. Every Wednesday, I showed up, I worked, and she talked. Sometimes about small things. Sometimes about things that felt too heavy for that quiet backyard. We never touched. We never crossed the line. But somehow, it felt closer than anything I had ever experienced. And that made it dangerous. About 3 weeks into it, she asked me something while I was packing up. Do you ever think about that morning? She said. The pool? I asked. She smiled slightly. Yes, that morning. I do, I admitted. What do you think? Quote. I paused for a second. That it would have been easier if it never happened, I said. Would it have been better? She asked. I don't know, I answered, but it would have been simpler. She nodded slowly. I'm sorry for making it harder. Don't be, I said. Sometimes harder is more honest. She looked at me in a way that made it hard to breathe. I trust you, she said. You shouldn't, I replied. I'm just a guy who cleans pools. You're the guy who stayed on the deck, she said. That matters. Later that day, my phone rang. It was my boss, Evan. I've been hearing things about the Whitmore place, he said. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. What kind of things? That you're spending extra time there, he said. That the homeowner is getting a little too friendly. My stomach dropped. Nothing is happening, I said. I believe you, he replied, but perception matters. HOA is watching. If they think something's off, we lose the contract. I leaned back in my seat. What do you want me to do? Keep it professional, he said. In and out, no extra time, no reasons for people to talk. After he hung up, I sat there for a long time, because I already knew something. Someone had been watching. And in neighborhoods like that, watching turns into talking real fast. The next Wednesday, I showed up earlier than usual. Part of me wanted to finish before anyone noticed. Clara was standing by the pool when I walked in. She looked different, tense, like she already knew something was wrong. I went straight to work, no conversation. Halfway through, I heard a voice from the fence. "Excuse me." I looked up. The neighbor stood there with her small dog, watching us. "How long does it take to clean a pool like this?" she asked. "About 40 minutes, I said. She smiled, but it did not feel friendly. "I've noticed you're very thorough," she said. "Mrs. Whitmore must appreciate that." I kept my face neutral. "If you need service, you can call the office," I said. She nodded and walked away. When I turned back, Clara was watching me. "That's Lena," she said quietly. "I figured." "She talks to everyone," Clara added, "including my husband." A cold feeling settled in my chest. "Nothing is happening," I said. "It doesn't matter," she replied. People see what they want. We stood there in silence for a second. "So what do we do?" I asked. She looked at the fence, then back at me. "I'm not ready to stop," she said. "I should have said we had to. I should have thought about my job, the contract, everything at risk. But instead, I said the truth. I'm not ready to stop either." And that was the moment things stopped being simple for good. 2 days after that conversation, my phone buzzed while I was sitting on my couch eating dinner. "Unknown number." "Can't do this week. I'm sorry. No name, but I knew it was her." I stared at the message for a long time, my fork still in my hand. I started typing a reply, then stopped. Deleted it. Typed again. Deleted that too. In the end, I sent one word. Understood. That Wednesday, I drove my usual route, but when I passed the street that led to her house, my hands almost turned the wheel on their own. I kept driving. The next week, same thing. No text, no call, no Clara. It felt wrong in a way I could not explain, like something had been pulled out of my routine, leaving a space that did not make sense anymore. After 2 weeks, I did something I should not have done. I wrote her house back onto my schedule. Evan did not know. No one did. I told myself I was just checking the pool, making sure nothing had gone bad. That was the excuse. The truth was, I needed to see if she was still there. I pulled up at 7 in the morning, got out, and walked to the gate. It was locked. I stood there for a minute, my hand on the latch, staring at the backyard I could not see. I could have knocked. I could have called, but I did not. I walked back to my truck and left. That should have been the end of it, but it was not. That night, my phone buzzed again. "There's a leak in the equipment. I don't trust anyone else. Can you come?" I stared at the screen. I knew there was no leak, and I knew exactly what I should do. I should ignore it. Instead, I typed, "When? If you can, now. The porch light will be on." I checked the time. Just after 11. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The drive felt different at night. The neighborhood was quieter, darker, like everything was hidden behind shadows instead of sunlight. When I pulled up, the porch light was on, just like she said. The rest of the house was dark. The gate was unlocked. I pushed it open and stepped into the backyard. Claire was sitting on the edge of the pool, wearing jeans and a hoodie, her feet in the water. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, but in a way that made it seem like something inside her had been pressed down. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi." "Where's the leak?" I asked. "There isn't one," she said. "I'm sorry." I nodded once and sat down a few feet away from her. "So why am I here?" She took a breath, like she had been holding it for days. "Because I couldn't stop thinking about you," she said. "About our mornings, about the way you looked at me like I was a person." My chest tightened. "I needed to see you one more time," she added, "so I could say goodbye the right way." "Is that what this is?" I asked. "Goodbye?" "It has to be," she said. She told me about the complaint, about how the HOA had contacted her husband, how she had defended me, told him everything was professional, that nothing had happened. "I think he believed me enough not to look deeper," she said. "But I had to stop. For both of us. We sat there in silence for a moment, listening to the soft sound of the water. "Then why text me?" I asked. "Because knowing you exist and not seeing you at all felt worse than the risk," she said. "I didn't want our last moment to be you walking away from a locked gate." I did not know what to say. "I'm not asking for anything," she said quickly. "I'm not asking you to touch me or sneak around or ruin your life. I just needed to tell you this in person." She looked at me then, really looked at me. "You changed something for me, Michael," she said. "You showed me that someone could see me and still choose restraint." I let out a slow breath. "I think about you every Wednesday at 7, I said. She closed her eyes like the words hurt. "Don't say that." "Why not?" "Because it makes this harder." "It should be hard," I said. "If it wasn't, it wouldn't mean anything." She looked at me again, and for a second, everything felt like it had on that first morning. Like we were standing on the edge of something we both understood but refused to step into. "I can't leave him," she said quietly. "I can't leave this life. It's empty, but it's mine." "I'm not asking you to," I said. "Then what are we doing?" she asked. I looked at the water, then back at her. "Maybe just this," I said. "Sitting here, being honest for once." "For how long?" "As long as we can, before it breaks something we can't fix." Quote, "We both knew that could not be forever, but for that night it was enough. We sat there until the air got cold and our hands started to feel numb. Then she told me I should go. "Before he wakes up," she said. At the gate, I turned back. "Will I see you again?" "I don't know," she said. "But if I text, it'll be late, when it's safe." I nodded and left. After that, it became our pattern. Late-night messages, quiet meetings, no plans, no promises. We never crossed the line. We never touched beyond sitting close. But somehow, that made everything feel stronger, more real. It was like standing on a steep edge and choosing not to fall, even when every part of you wanted to. Weeks turned into months. Then, one night, everything changed. She texted again. "Equipment is acting up. Can you come tonight?" Same address. Same porch light. But when I walked into the backyard, something felt off immediately. Clara was standing this time, not sitting. And she was not alone. A man stood near the glass doors, dressed in a clean shirt and dark pants, scrolling through his phone like he owned everything around him. He looked up when he heard the gate. "Can I help you?" he asked. My chest tightened. "Pool service," I said. "Got a call about an issue with the equipment." He turned to Clara. "You called pool service?" "Yes," she said calmly. "This afternoon. You were on a call." He studied her for a second, then looked back at me. "Fix it and send the bill to the office," he said, before walking inside. The door closed behind him. I let out a breath I did not realize I was holding. Clara stepped closer, her voice low. "I'm sorry," she said. "His flight got moved. I didn't know he'd be back." "It's okay," I said, even though it wasn't. "He saw you," she whispered. "He might remember." I opened the equipment panel just to give my hands something to do. Everything was fine, no problems, no leak. No reason for me to be there. "Then we stop," I said quietly, "right now." Her eyes filled with something I could not ignore. "I don't want to stop." Quote, "Neither do I said, "but we don't get to have both." She looked down, her shoulders tightening. "I can't go back to being invisible," she said. "You're not invisible," I told her. "Not to me." She swallowed hard. "So that's it?" she asked. "We don't end," I said. "We pause. Until it's safe." She nodded slowly, even though it was clear she hated it. "You're right," she said, "and I hate you for it. I hate me for it, too." I stepped past her and walked toward the gate. "Goodbye, Michael," she said behind me. "Goodbye, Clara." I did not look back. Because if I did, I knew I would not leave. It has been 8 weeks since I last walked through the Whitmore gate. 8 Wednesdays without the quiet sound of water moving against tile. 8 mornings without the soft glow of steam rising from a heated pool. 8 weeks of telling myself that distance was the right choice, even when it felt like something inside me was missing. Life went on the way it always does. Other pools, other houses, Other clients who asked simple questions about filters and heaters and never looked at me long enough to wonder who I was. I showed up, did my work, and left without leaving a trace. Just like before. But every Wednesday at 7 in the morning, I still woke up with her on my mind. I would lie there in the half-light, staring at the ceiling, remembering the sound of her voice and the way she had wrapped her robe around herself that first morning. I remembered the moment she stepped into the water and trusted me not to follow. "Thank you for not moving." Those words stayed with me more than anything else. They followed me into every backyard, every job, every quiet street lined with perfect hedges and silent houses. They reminded me that sometimes the most important thing you can do for someone is nothing at all. One afternoon, a new client asked if I worked Wednesday mornings. It was an older couple with a large yard and a pool that had seen better days. The wife stood beside me while I tested the water, her hair perfectly styled, her smile careful and polite. "My husband is always at golf on Wednesdays," she said. "The house is quiet. You can take your time." I looked at her and saw something familiar in her eyes. Loneliness, hidden behind comfort and routine. A quiet hope that someone might notice her without asking too many questions. For a moment, I thought of Clara. Then I shook my head gently. "I keep Wednesdays open for personal reasons," I said. "Oh," she replied, her smile faltering slightly. "That's too bad." "Yeah," I said softly, "it is." I finished the job and drove away, knowing the truth. Wednesdays were not open because of company policy. They were open because of her. Because of the mornings we shared beside that pool. Because I needed one day each week to remember that I had made a choice, and that the choice had mattered. Sometimes, late at night, my phone would buzz. No name, no message, just a picture. A clean blue pool beneath soft light. No people, no words. Her way of saying she remembered too. I never replied, not because I did not want to, but because I knew what it would start if I did. Some connections are meant to be held quietly, without reaching for more than they can bear. Then one evening, a different message appeared. "The pool needs winterizing. I trust you." One last time. I stared at the screen for a long moment. The words were simple, but I understood what they meant. Not just chemicals and covers. Not just closing the pool for the season. One last look. One last conversation. One last memory before the water went still. "When?" I typed. "Thursday. Late. When the neighborhood is asleep. I will be there." The night air was cool when I pulled up to her house. The porch light glowed softly, just like before. The rest of the house was dark, silent, wrapped in shadows. The gate was unlocked. I pushed it open and stepped into the backyard, feeling the same quiet pull I had felt the first time I walked through it. Clara was sitting at the edge of the pool, wrapped in a long sweater, her knees pulled to her chest. Steam rose from the water in thin lines, drifting into the night air. "You came," she said softly. "You asked," I answered. For a while, we did not talk about anything important. She asked about my work, and I told her about a pool that had turned green and taken 3 days to save. I told her about a little boy who brought me lemonade and watched me like I was performing magic. She smiled at that. Then she told me about a book she was reading, about the weather changing, about the leaves on her street that annoyed her more than they should. On the surface, it was simple conversation. But beneath it, we both knew what we were doing. We were saying goodbye without saying the word. After a while, she checked the time. "You should go," she said quietly. "If he wakes up and you're here, I won't be able to explain it away this time." I nodded. "Will I see you again?" I asked. She looked at me with a softness that made my chest ache. "I don't know," she said. "But if I text, it will be late, when it's safe." I stood and walked toward the gate, then stopped and turned back. The pool shimmered behind her, still and quiet, reflecting the faint glow of the porch light. For a moment, everything felt suspended in time. "Clara," I said. "Yes?" "You were never invisible." Her eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. "And you were never just the pool guy," she replied. I nodded once and left, closing the gate behind me. That was the last time I saw her. Life settled back into its careful rhythm. The pools changed with the seasons. The days grew shorter. Winter came and went. But every Wednesday at 7, I still woke up and thought of her backyard. I thought of the steam rising from the water, the quiet of that place, and the woman who had trusted me not to cross a line. Sometimes, my phone still buzzed late at night. No name, no words, just a photograph of a clean blue pool. Her way of saying she remembered. I never answered. Not because I did not care, but because answering would light a match we had both worked so hard to put out. Some people are not meant to be yours. They are meant to change you. They are meant to show you what it feels like to be truly seen, without expectation, without possession, without taking more than you are given. Clara did not need me to fix her. She needed me to see her and choose her dignity over my own desire. She needed someone who would stay on the deck when she was at her most exposed. And I did. I did not always get everything right, but I got that part right. Soon, the pool would close for winter. The water would go still. The porch light would turn off earlier each evening. Life would settle back into its neat, safe lines. But every Wednesday at 7, I would wake up and remember her. The woman who stepped into her own pool and asked me to fix something I could never touch. And I would remember that the bravest thing we ever did was not what we did together. It was what we chose not to do.